Hello and welcome as today's date comes in that of a Tuesday. It's the 29th day of October 2019. My name is Derek, like always, all bets trades. And of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. Very quick look at gold, silver, then into cryptocurrencies as on the weekly chart. Gold remains for week number 5 within this 18 average. And what a nothing week 2 weeks ago. And really overall, just yada, 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 hanging in there, resisting the 1522, but by no means filling any of, if not much, of this empty space. Big support. And at 1482, that's not far from the line in comparison to the one below it at 1321. And even this previous low only hit this week of the September of this year. It was, well, that comes in at 1456. On the daily term time frame, it has definitely been making a lot of lower highs, and I'm going to count this, even though technically is a matching one, because I see this as a down move in here above the 18, and then a leg lower, failed move, fast move lower. It wasn't much of a failed move, wasn't much of a fast move, but it qualified. And then we resist within the 18, support the lows on several days. And then we have this move a few days ago getting above, but has instantly rejected it now back to the 18 average of lows. So it looks like, the more often you test support, it should come down here. Who knows if it will? It's like still in the yada yada sideways support range, and until it does, really not much going on within it. As far as silver is concerned, and I put a whole bunch of these lines in. These are only just short-term levels if they manage to go higher, but amongst its daily term, it got above the 18 average of highs in September 24th, issued for those, we'll say 3 days, and then failed breakout, fast move lower. From that fast move lower, or failed move, yeah, fast move lower, it manages to resist the 18 and then just correcting the lows for quite some time. But the lows are starting to rise, as we can see that the lowest prices per day have been going higher, at least from this breakout in here. Yes, we've managed to come down a little bit, but we can see without even needing to go to like a 3 hour or 1 hour chart that the level of resistance for the first, all of October really in here, at about 17 and 3/4 is where we are now having a support test. But the newly rising 18, finding resistance at a key Fibonacci level, that you do that, you come back to a key level like this. If you get momentum moving forward higher, that's one of the key signs you're looking for. Oh, if we break above this, we're probably going to have a quick move or a decisive move up to the 18 and 3/4 level. So for now, we'll just see what happens, but it's still yada yadaing it at low volatility right now, or lower compared to where we were. And overall, silver and gold are in low compared to, well, 2000 and, why am I even talking about this? But let's just view it, I think, on the monthly. And I'm talking about like the volatility back in 2008, because all this stuff in here for the last little bit, really since 2013, 2014, has been low. And at some point it's going to go higher, but who knows when. Let's move on to Bitcoin dominance. There's the long term on the monthly chart. As far as the weekly is concerned, we can see from these lows, which I got to put the years back in. It's about January of 2018. That's when Bitcoin was like at its highs. All coins were so much higher. Well, since then, it's made a lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low. I'm not going to count that. It's playing, it's consolidating in here. This in itself was a huge setup, though, because when you were consolidating this from that, it lifted off to yet that big higher high. And wherever this low happens to be is most likely, but not guaranteed, to be that of a higher low, because the last key low, well, really isn't here. Of course, on a reversal of trend, it's actually common to first create a higher low and then a lower high. Sort of like when this made a lower high from this one and then a higher low. So that's the opposite on that sense. That's the weekly chart. As far as the daily term time frame is concerned, I don't know, my scrolling is a little weird on this. It's good and it's bad actually once I get used to it, but it doesn't work the same way, and a lot of times if I go like this, I'll have this happen. But anyway, the downtrend from here to here, so far lower high. So this is a big moment now that it's had this. If it can successfully correct this, start to lift higher, then yeah, the next case is a move between 71 to previous high. If I see weakness on the 18 average of lows, especially below this line, then I would deem this as a failed breakout, and I would even give more superior strength and probability for things of a break of this support to have a decent size move lower. Moving on to Bitcoin against the dollar. And I have some of these Fibonacci lines that I just happen to put in. Whatever, that's all. It's just random mathematics doing its thing. But on the daily chart, I've talked about these failed moves, and so far, what have we done after the fact of each move? Well, after the fact of this rally a few days ago, it is just hanging in there. The 9,000 level has been so far, it looks like great support. We haven't had a test of 83, if we will, meaning on a significant break below that. That's where I'm looking for key support. Getting above this 9,500, it's been obviously playing around with it. We can see for today's session. If we shorten it out, which is next on the 3 hour term time frame, well, that's exactly where the range has been within it. The low in here, we have 9,051, which is like 4 basis points lower, not even. Three and change. Three and a half almost, a little more, 3.52. And even then, I got my numbers rounded, but it's pretty much an exact hit. And all these resistance hits at 95.30. It's just luck that the Fibonacci and yada yada stuff is working out this way. Sort of like if it breaks this level of support, it would be just luck that it would have like a pierce below 83.37. Just saying. And seeing it holding above like around this number, like 8,400 as a low, and finding a high somewhere at least around 97. If I can do that for a few periods, like a good portion of a day, that would be a very, very, very strong setup. We've already established this level of a failed breakout here. Oftentimes from failed moves, we have a fast move in the opposite, a really concise move to the opposite direction. So far, that hasn't happened. A concise move would be at least a 50% retracement in here, or at least a move down to like in here. But most likely it would go there, because the only way you're going to go down to here is if it's a failed breakdown, which could happen. But after all, there's been a lot of them. There's one right down in here on the 23rd to 25th time frame. Okay, there's your Bitcoin analysis. Now let's move on to Bitcoin Cash. I can't remember when I put this line in, but hey, it's been supporting it for the last little while. Since the breakout on October the 25th, about 4 days ago, how has it reacted from that point? Well, the 18 has done magnificent within its correctionary phase. It had another second gassed effort up in here, which then obviously made filled this empty space down to 241, coming back to at least this level of where we came from in here, not much deeper. After finding support there, we can see it got up to the 18 highs at the 8 hour timestamp on the 27th. And then for about a dozen or so periods thereafter that, it consolidated, not at the rate of ascent within the 18, but it chopped up and down below, above and below it. And then last night at the end of the day, a significant break, exitation of the 18, breaking this level of resistance, piercing above this previous high, and now since then it's been supporting that previous high, as we are on period number. Well, we just finished this period because there's 2 minutes and 56 seconds left, so we're 3 minutes into it. It's 5:03 p.m. as I'm doing this. But there's been 5 completions of it just going sideways like that. So I like how it's holding in there on the daily term time frame. This is a very interesting situation because, like I say so many times, we'll look for something to be resistance. Well, what does that mean when you look for it? Well, when it gets there, you look at it. It pretty much got there here. So that second ditch effort in here, we've already done that over the 2 day period of October the 25th and 26th. We've seen that great correctionary phase, which is these days in here that came close to the 18 average of highs and just barely to where it came from on the October 9th high. So now that that's the case, I'm looking for the break of this resistance to be a lot higher than the 297 or such that it's got to. Are we at 299, we'll call it? Well, even 300. I expect it to go higher than that. So whereabouts are the next key levels? Well, one thing we do is calculate fib. So the easy one right now looks like this to this. The second one is where were some of the key spots? Because it was just obvious that this was a previous support at 276. This to me is a little range area. I'm looking at first this previous the two highs in here between 325 and 348, common within this support at 400 low. So we're basically talking the last three and a quarter to like four and a quarter. Right? Is that too high? Not really, but 410. Three and a quarter to 410. I would look just by looking at those basic areas. So as far as key Fibonacci is concerned, let's take a look at these February lows at 105. We'll call it 105.2 even, as if the decimals make much of a difference. And the highs we're looking at $555, 553. Sorry about that sound if that came in. So the key numbers starting on the bottom, 155. Obviously that is no longer in play. We're at the 286, lifting off from 213. So the key numbers were between the 31 and the 68. So after 293 is 373. So that's, and then piercing above it makes case probably about 385 to 390 to 400, I would think, for a next significant break. I could probably get more data on Huobi. I wouldn't mind doing Bitcoin analysis as it is from here on in anyway. But this will give me the most data from day 2, I think it is, or day 1. August 1st, 2017. And against that of the price of Bitcoin now, something I'm watching, because I wouldn't mind it going up a little higher because there's a few sales that I want to make, all of them actually that I trade against. I have just deposited like 8% of my BCH to the exchange because, again, everything I'm ratio trading against, it's something I'm looking to trade. I think it's four things: Tezos, GoChain, Theta, and Litecoin. I used to trade against DGB, but I've stopped most of my DGB trading just against the GRS for DGB. So that's the weekly chart. Obviously, it's at pretty much its all-time lows spot where it barely was at this area for a while. Now it's been congesting here for a decent amount of time. This area of support has been resisted in here, of course. So where do we get it above here? Well, you got like 61.8% from this high to this low, just a little area in here. So first coming up to like 41 and then up to like in here at 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if in time it does come back up here. And I wouldn't be, not only do I expect this to break above it, I expect this to go over 1. It'll take a lot of time, but I think that Bitcoin Cash in the race for which coin will overperform Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash is the easy one because they share the same supply. So I'm looking at market cap value, and the ratio from 1 to 2 is extreme right now. When we look at the number of top ones at the level, which is like the Bitcoin Cash, the Ripples, and all the ones at the top, Ethereum, and then with the outside chances, coins like Neo and Litecoin and EOS maybe, as well as Waves. I'm kidding on Waves. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those moves do take place. Now, that doesn't stop a chance that it could come down and we go down here for next. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. I'm always just going to react to the situations of whatever it is to be able to do. I think for short-term analysis, I want to look at Bitcoin Cash against Bitcoin on the Binance exchange, because this is where it's getting very, very interesting. Triple hour chart. We come up, we make this high. And we do so after, well, this was a sudden fall. This was like a Bitcoin dominance fall, I think. And then from that, just a huge, huge volatility in here. Where you have the big sudden move, and then anyone who's just trading back and forth on this is profits to be had. The volatility is not the greatest. That's what you're going to get with BCH. It's still good compared to traditional markets. But when you're talking about going from 31 to 26, back up where it is again, but the big thing is holding and staying above this, and it's done even better than that. Because I've said that over and over and over again on a key level. Break it like this. Now you have to hold and stay above where you came from any retracement because you know they're going to happen. And that's why I like to use the words hold and stay above because sometimes, and these markets move so fast, especially, you have these types of moves. Is it able to recapture it back to that level? And yes, it is. So it held and stayed above this area, but it's also held and stayed above this area. It's also held and stayed above into here. That's why I say it's done so much better in the holding and staying in the sense that this is where I call the must hold area. And yes, this time in here it bounced around in there. So now that it's come in here, the same thing is so huge and important to not lose it in here. This is the must hold. And now that we've established this resistance once, we established it again a second time. We know that on the break of this, well, obviously it's at the lower end. We've seen the daily time frame that this has been hit pretty bad. I mean, the potential for where this could go, I still think it can go again over a 30x move to get it to 1. In time, of course, when I say par, I'm talking so many months away. Hundreds and hundreds, if not over 1,000 days away, I would think, for it. But I don't think Bitcoin will stay at top. And my best guess for the coin that first, but most certainly will be at least one of them, to be worth more than Bitcoin, is that of Bitcoin Cash. On the 15-minute term time frame, I mean, this is where it just got a little not so fun. As this was breaking higher, this is, I mean, I should have had my deposit in ready because I knew this was going on all day. But as this was breaking out above here, that's what I'm like, yep. Then I'm looking, what do I sell it against? And I'm thinking, well, of those 4 that I named, 3 of them for sure are at these prices. One of them is not too far off. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's just move about like 8% of what I got, sell it against those coins, and then just see what the market does there after that. And these are my Bitcoin cash that we have, 34,000 to 1 ratio. You need 34,000 goes for 1 Bitcoin Cash. And on the daily chart, we can see that well, we're back at this key level. It's had a nice little run higher. And based on this move lower, I was able to make a buyback. So what I like to do is sell up here, buy here, and if I need this one to go up a lot higher, though. This is the worst one on the list. Or of the 4 that I would sell for now, this is the one I wouldn't trade yet. It would be these other 3 I am close to. We got LITECOIN, which we can see is at 4 3/4 now. I made a trade yesterday. I can make another one again. As this thing on the hourly time frame, like as this was breaking out higher, I put I think it was before this move even happened. I was like, just screw it. I think I took it before the break. I'm like, yeah, it's gone up more. But you know what? I'll put another little bit in. This is by far my heaviest stakes of 2 coins together. But these are, and it's low volatility. Here we have within the time frame of this hourly chart, which is like October, just the last couple of weeks, like 4 to 5. On the daily chart, maybe we come up to this 6 2/3 level. And overall, when we do this over a long period of time, yeah, new lows and highs might be played in, but I mean, I expect these things to just keep on shopping around something in this type of nature, and I'm just going to flip my coins back and forth and see what kind of return I can get over many hundreds and thousands, over 1,000 days, I think. So that's the cross against Litecoin, 2,800, and that against Theta. Nice little failed breakdown here. Well, that's what Theta had a nice little, its little failed breakout, which I like in here. 2100 now at 28. This high is like 41. Was down to 600, and I expect this volatility again to have some wild movements. Sudden down, sudden moves up to keep on going. That's what I expect. And finally, not as much data for this. This is against Tezos. Off to a good start on this one, of course. We got for the volatility early on, 230 already up to like 340. So that's a differential of like 110, 40 plus percent in just this amount of allocated time. And of course, seeing this hour time frame go to 334 when it was 340, not a big fan of. But also, what I like to do sometimes is if I'm thinking might break out, I might just complete one of the three trades next and then wait for a better price and stuff like that. But it's still a waiting game right now for just to get a little bit of best moves. If other coins overperform Bitcoin Cash the next little while, I'm just going to be possibly missing out on the opportunity, but waiting for the best number that I can get when trading these. And then one that I'm newish into as well is this H bar and Raven. My last deal is around the 102 mark. And it's getting closer. I might just want to scoop off some H bar and turn it into the RVN coin and just play the game. But if you're playing for smaller volatility in here, the opportunities you have on playing these highs and lows, the general area for the support has been like 102, even a little bits below, tiny bit below it. 1017, I'll even say. So 100,018. The upper end of this range has had a few hits at 1,075. So you're looking at like 5-6% moves. That's low volatility, but you can get a bunch of them back and forth if that's what you played for. I'm not. It's just one of those, yeah, not too many trades available. But now that it's up in here, I suppose if it gets like up to around in here, I would do something about it. So I'll just put my alert in now. All right, take care. Bye bye.